Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai Vaishnavacharyas. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So, a couple things I want to look at this morning. One of them is the 10 offenses to be avoided in chanting the holy names of the Lord. And this list of 10 offenses is from the Padma Purana, the Brahmakanda section 25:15 through 18, and it is presented by Srila Vyasadeva, these 10 offenses to avoid. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. We can take some consolation that the mercy of Lord Chaitanya is so all-encompassing and magnanimous that he's not accepting offenses, which doesn't mean that you can do the offenses and not worry about it. That's not the idea. The idea is that first to get a taste for the holy name, and then we'll clean up the mess afterwards. It's kind of what goes on with getting a higher taste, being able to give up different types of activities and patterns of thought that are muddying up the waters. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So first get a taste. That's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. Get a taste. Get the holy name. However you can get it. Beg, borrow, steal, whatever. Get a taste for the holy name. And then we'll deal with the 10 offenses. First get a taste. So to present the 10 offenses first, when people don't have a taste, it's like, this is too hard. And Prabhupada's preaching was like that. He was engaging people in chanting Hare Krishna who knew nothing about sinful activity or 10 offenses. He was just preaching in such a way that they could get a taste for hearing about Krishna. And then I believe the way it went was one day someone asked, are there things that we should be doing and not doing? And then Prabhupada gave a list of things to avoid. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the idea is to get a taste. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Like we see sometimes people who are upset about eating meat. They have some sensibilities about the other living entities. And so they dive into vegetarianism or veganism head first without Krishna. And then they get stuck in vegetarianism, not Krishna consciousness, just vegetarianism, and almost not even particularly interested in Krishna, just interested in vegetarianism, the rules of don't eat this, because of some feelings and sentiments they have, but it's not, but Krishna doesn't really, who needs Krishna, we'll just be vegetarians. So the idea is to get a taste for Krishna, and then they can clean the diet up. Because what happens is, you'll do anything for Krishna. You get a taste for Krishna, you'll do anything for Krishna. You'll even give up sex. Oh my God. Hare Krishna. How is that possible? Hare Krishna. Just get a taste for Krishna and then you'll see how it's possible. Because you'll do anything for Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. There was one of Krishna's sons, is Pradyumna. He was the son of, I believe, Rukmini's son, Pradyumna. Hare Krishna. And his attitude, this is his spiritual attitude, when Krishna was having his exhibiting his pastimes in Dwarka, he had many queens and many palaces. We're talking on a spiritual level now. We're not talking about the movies, material movies. We're talking about the spiritual movies, the spiritual pastimes. He exhibited a pastime in Dwarka, and one of his queens, her son was Pradyumna, is very unusual. His unusual appearance, his unusual activities, his attitude toward his father, Krishna, was that to please Krishna, if there was something that he liked to do, but in order to please Krishna, he wouldn't do it. If that meant pleasing Krishna, he wouldn't do it. And on the other side of that, if there was something he really didn't like to do or want to do, but if it would please Krishna, he would do it. That was part of his, was obvious in his spiritual relationship, his spiritual relationship with his father. Hare Krishna. So, first get a taste for Krishna, and then the do's and the don'ts. It'll just be enhancing the taste for Krishna rather than a heavy burden and a chore. It'll be enhancing the loving relationship with Krishna. It's something you like to do, don't do it. If it's going to bring me closer to Krishna, I've got it. That's it. I'm not doing it. Or if it's something you really don't want to do, but it's going to bring me more closer in with an experience with God, then hey, I'm doing it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That's ties in with the only two instructions. Great saint, Acharya Rupa Goswami says only two instructions. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Always remember Krishna. Not like something that happened in the past, but like remember right now, in the present moment. Like, oh yeah, Krishna, light bulb's going off, right? Krishna. And never forget Krishna. And the purport to that is accept everything favorable for Krishna consciousness and reject everything unfavorable. It all goes together. There was one of our present day revered, honored, advanced devotees in present day Hare Krishna movement. Vishnu Janan Maharaj, he had magnetism. His kirtans, they were magnetic. They were mesmerizing. They were, wherever he went, his kirtans were out of this world. And he shared one time how that works, remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna. He felt himself getting a little distracted by this, that, and the other thing, and we get distracted because our senses and our minds and our bodies are constantly being bombarded by the material, temporary situation. We're always having to deal with it. It's like we're always bailing water out of a small boat that's got a hole in it. Material. You're in a boat, it's got a hole in it, the water's leaking in, and you've got the bucket, and you're constantly trying to bail the water out of the boat. That's trying to exist in the material world. And Krishna, the chant Hare Krishna, it'll plug the hole. Yeah. But he felt himself in that, trying to bail the water out of the boat. He was distracted by material thoughts, and then he heard the conch shell blow in the temple, and it was time to open the curtain and chant and dance before the deities of Krishna. Krishna makes that arrangement to help us get out of the material entanglement. And that instant, he saw, that was like an aha moment for him, how always remembering Krishna, never forgetting Krishna. And he dropped everything that he was so busy with and getting all entangled, and he just dropped it, and he went and chanted before the deities. And he was freed from that fear and anxiety and all of that comes from trying to bail the water out of the boat. But the water keeps coming in, and you're bailing it out, and it's coming in, and you're bailing it out. So he was absorbed in that. Fix this and fix that, and this is no good, and I got to change this, and what about that? And then he heard the conch shell in the temple. Oh, Krishna. Krishna. Wow. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. So I want to look at the 10 offenses that if we're just starting out in our Krishna consciousness, there's no need to get too frantic about the 10 offenses, but it's good to know they're there. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because we might start to think that, you get kind of a honeymoon when you first start chanting Hare Krishna. And it's so exhilarating that it's like, I know I thought, wow, I'm a pure devotee, But I had a lot of baggage, and I still do, and little bit, it's getting thrown overboard. I think it's the unnecessary things. But in the beginning, it was exhilarating. I was sure wow, the switch had been flicked. I didn't identify with material. I was spiritual, and it was like a honeymoon. like when you get a new credit card, it's like 0 introductory offer for 18 months. No interest for 18 months. And then 18 months, and then you gotta start, you have to start paying. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Yeah, I experienced that early on. Like, Krishna had it arranged that first time I visited a temple, it was in Boston, and it was on Janmashtami. I didn't know. I went on Janmashtami, my first time visiting. I didn't go because there was a festival. I didn't even know there was a celebration. I just went because I went. Hare Krishna. I'd been wanting to go, and I said, okay, now's the time. So it was Janmashtami. And there weren't very many devotees in the temple. They'd all packed up and traveled together to West Virginia. There was a farm community there. This was 1971. So there was only like a skeleton crew. There's about 2 or 3 devotees staying back to make the offerings and to greet guests that might come because it was a special day. So those 2 or 3 devotees, they were cooking all day, making offerings, preparing a huge feast, and they were fasting. And there was chanting in the temple, and they were reading about Krishna, and it was just so delightful. It was just wonderful. And they were putting the prasadam out because guests at that time, the way they did it was the guests weren't fasting because they wanted everyone to have prasadam, spiritual food offered to the Lord, prepared for his pleasure and considered remnants of the Lord's mercy. Kind of like a 20-course communion wafer, You get like a communion wafer and, you're tasting the Lord's spiritual body. Well, this is like a 20-course communion wafer. 20 courses. Hare Krishna. And so I sat down. There was a big pile of prasadam in one of the rooms, a big room. And I just went in. I just started eating everything, tasting everything. And I thought, wow, this is great. I'd like to live here. They do all the work and I sit and eat. Man, this is for me. I'm coming here. And I actually did ask that evening if I could move in. And before I finished my sentence, I said, could I stay? I was going to say overnight because I was still eating. I said, could I stay? I was going to say overnight. He didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, could I stay? And he said, yes. Didn't know anything about me. I didn't know anything about Krishna consciousness. Yes, you can stay. So I moved in that night. Hare Krishna, and I never left. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. I don't live in the temple right now, but I'm not leaving. My house is like a kind of sanctuary or temple, and the one that's open to the public is like 5 minutes away. I can walk if I want to. But Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But what I realized was the next day when I stayed overnight is I got to wash all the pots. And there were a lot of pots in that kitchen. And So I got my special introductory offer. I sat there all day on Janmashtami and just ate and ate and ate. And then the next day I got a pot washing thing. So it's kind of like that, you know. We get like a special introductory offer, high as a kite. But then we have some cleaning up to do, you know. But it all comes in due course. So by taking a look at the 10 offenses, at least we know, we have some rough idea of what we might have to deal with at some point. Or at least what others might have to deal with. So here they are. I make the print a little bigger. I can't see it. I'll make it a little bigger. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Okay, 10 offenses of the holy name. The author, Srila Vyasadeva, from his book, Padma Purana. Number 1. Numero 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare. Gotta be careful, offend devotees. You don't want to offend anyone. Why would you want to offend anyone? But especially those who are dedicating their lives to whatever degree to propagate the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare. In a sense, just by chanting Hare Krishna, you're propagating the holy name of the Lord. Because even if you might not be out in public chanting loudly or speaking to vast audiences or whatever, there are living entities everywhere. And by chanting Hare Krishna and glorifying Krishna, that sound vibration travels all around the planet. So you're propagating the holy name just by chanting. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So you don't want to offend someone who's chanting Hare Krishna, who is propagating the holy name of the Lord. And be careful. Even if, like, the personality is a little abrasive or they have some bad habits, you don't want to offend anyone. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. 2. To consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. They are parts of Krishna or Vishnu. They are the limbs of the Lord. They're demigods. And they have specific functions. They're devotees for serving the Lord within this material environment. So they're not independent. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And by taking shelter of the names of Krishna or Vishnu, then Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are automatically pleased. It's like watering the roots of a tree. You can put water on the leaves, thinking that somehow independently the leaves can be nourished. There's not much benefit there. But if there's water on the root of the plant or the tree, then the whole tree, including the leaves and the branches and the twigs and everything, gets distributed. So Krishna's like that. He's the root. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Number 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari. The orders of the spiritual master. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That's a tough one. What orders? Which ones? Krishna. Well, in a broad sense or a general sense, is to hear about Krishna, chant about Krishna, engage in devotional activities, read the scriptures, associate with devotees, avoid certain activities. So it's kind of a broad category. Then sometimes a disciple will have some direct orders, like go to China and open a temple. I mean, those kinds of orders were given directly to some disciples. But for most of us, it's kind of a general order. Hear and chant about Krishna. Surrender to Krishna. And then the details of that are according to time, place, and circumstance. At least for me, I don't have any like direct order. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Krishna. I say, Lord Chaitanya, don't worry about these offenses, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just wants us to get a taste, and then we can deal with all of this. But it's good to know what they are. Number 4, to blaspheme Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance of the Vedic version. Yeah, there's different ways to blaspheme the scriptures, to interpret them, speculative interpretation, to pull out some Mayavadi conclusion. There's different ways to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Number 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. Hare Krishna, it's all, you're just imagining. You're imagining the form of the Lord, you're imagining the glories of chanting Hare Krishna. You're duped. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. I don't know if this is appropriate to say here or not, but I've heard that Prabhupada said, even if it is imagination, isn't this a wonderful way to live? Even if there isn't any Krishna, isn't this a wonderful way to live? You kind of have, your tracks covered, because, it's a wonderful way to live. But if you disregard and just think, oh, it's imagination, what if it isn't imagination? When this life is over, what happened? You lost the opportunity. So, if you're a gambling person, the risk is on the other side. The risk of losing is on the side of disregarding Hare Krishna and just poo-pooing it. The risk is there that if you're wrong, wow, you got some heavy karma and stuff to deal with. So the win-win is on the other side. That even if it is imagination, what did you lose? It's a great way to live. It's fun. Now. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Number 6, to give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. It's more in the category of speculation again. I think it means this, I think it means that. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. No, the holy name is Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Number 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. That's where getting a higher taste comes in. That even if someone is stuck there, they have some sinful habits, then just keep chanting and associating with devotees, and by getting a higher taste, the taste for sinful activities, it goes away because you're getting a higher taste. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But it is blocking being able to get more access to Krishna in his form as a holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. But the way for that to get taken care of is to understand and accept that have these sinful desires, sinful activities, and keep chanting Hare Krishna, and Krishna will send help if sincere, but not to chant on the strength of to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting. In other words, it's like if a Christian were to say, Jesus, he accepted all my sins, so I just keep sinning. No. Jesus took the burden from the woman at the well, the prostitute, and then he said, well, go and sin no more. You've been washed clean now. Go and sin no more. So there reaches a point where we're strong enough, we have enough of a taste or experience in Krishna consciousness that the other stuff just drops off. We see it as getting in the way of a relationship with our Lord. It gets in the way. So the attractive Maya's attractive glare doesn't. Sorry. Not interested. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's like a little tinkle in the darkness when you're like in full sunlight. You can go in the dark and find some little, it's just a reflection. Which reminds me of something that happened when I was traveling with some other ladies in the 80s, 1980s, and we were selling things to collect funds for some different temple projects. And it was early in the morning, we were at a campground, and I was chanting, and something out in the field, there was a field there, was glittering. And you know how sometimes if you catch something just right, it makes like this huge rainbow effect? And I was mesmerized by it because it's very pretty to see the sun reflecting on something. And it was filling my whole eyesight with this beautiful prismatic, it was really breathtaking. It was just very pretty, the colors and everything. And then the sun's moving, the sun moved, and it was gone. And I tried to get in position so I could see it again. Yeah, I'm trying to chant japa, right? So Krishna was showing me something. Not just a beautiful display, but there was a realization there to try and help me. And so I went out there to the area where I'd seen this thing, and it was a broken down tractor and a little piece of the windshield, the glass for the windshield, had caught reflection of the sun. So that's what Maya's glitter is like. It's what we're attracted to is Krishna, and it's just a dim reflection. It's actually a reflection. There's a reflection there. Hare Krishna, Hare, in the darkness. And it's very attractive. But then I also realized that although that beautiful display was coming because of the sun, I couldn't look at the sun directly. Then I would go blind. You can't stare at the sun, you burn your retina out, you burn your eyes out. So Krishna's kind of like that. So there's a lot of nice realizations that came from that about what it is that we're attracted to in the material energy, the illusory energy, is Krishna. And if you go to reach for it, all you get is a broken piece of glass. It's kind of like what Dhruva Maharaj offered his prayers to Vishnu after all his austerities, and because he wanted a kingdom greater than his father, because his stepmother had insulted him, and he was a child, but he took it to the nth degree. He went to the forest. He stood on one leg for like months and months and months. He just ate dry leaves. He was performing austerities because he wanted to approach Vishnu. He was chanting a mantra that was given to him by, I believe, Narada Muni. And when Lord Vishnu appeared before him, he realized he was doing all of this because he was attracted to something that was no more than a broken piece of glass. And that the priceless gem was standing there before him, Lord Vishnu. He no longer had any desire for this kingdom greater than his father. He had no more desire for it. He just wanted Vishnu, wanted Krishna to always be in his vision and to serve Krishna and feel the presence of Krishna always. So he saw his big endeavor for a kingdom greater than his father's. It was a piece of broken glass. It was just a dim reflection of the priceless gem standing there before him. The personality of Godhead. So Maya's glitter is like that. So, number 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. So that will go away. Because those sinful activities, what are they? They're attraction to Maya, Maya's glitter. So we keep chanting, keep taking association of devotees. Krishna will help. If we can at least understand how this works, even if we're not quite there yet. We'll be there. If we can accept that this is actually true, then Krishna will help us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. We get a taste for the holy name. Number 8, to consider Krishna, 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 Krishna. Okay, a lot going on here. Battery's down on this. And I have to move it so I can plug it in, or it's gonna kapoop. Krishna. Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi, Gaur Bhakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Rearrange everything here. Ah, Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Right, so there we are. Somewhere. Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Alright, Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna. So disorganized. There we go. Okay. So, number 9. Krishna Chaitanya. Oh, number 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karmakanda. Again, that's a lower taste, and by continuing chanting and hearing, then that lower taste goes. That's like, consider chanting just like a ritualistic activity because I want something material. So that goes. When there's taste, that goes. Number 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. You can see how Lord Chaitanya is protecting us, because you could say, in one sense, if you go out in public and chant, then aren't you like kind of giving the holy name to people who are faithless? Yes. Many of those people that might be walking by or driving by wherever you're chanting, they're faithless. So isn't that an offense to the holy name? No. Because why? Because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's magnanimous. He's giving the holy name to anyone and anyone. Take it. Here, just take it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I asked Prabhupada, it was the only question I ever asked him. It was in 1976. He was visiting a temple just outside Washington, D.C., Potomac Temple. And it was the temple room, Srimad Bhagavatam class in the morning, and it was packed. There must have been 300 people at least in that temple room. And I was way down the back, and he gave a class. I can't remember the verse that he spoke on, but then he asked for questions. And I was way down the back. He was on the Vyasasana, and I was up near the altar. I had my hand in the air, so did like 50 other people. And he called on me. Yes, what is your question? Immediately I panicked. It's like, my body was actually shaking. I couldn't speak. I was like, I don't know if I can get this question out. So I got the question out. And my question was something, it's recorded somewhere, in the files of recorded classes. And I asked him, when we're out approaching people, distributing books, if we meet somebody who says, oh, they believe in God, but they're not interested in Krishna, what do we do? It seemed like a dumb question, but it really wasn't, because he spoke for quite a while on it. He liked the question. And part of his answer was, of course I couldn't remember at the time, because I almost collapsed after I asked the question. I was unconscious. Couldn't hear the answer. I had to listen to it on the recorded thing. And part of his answer was, there's different types of people. Some are devotees, and some are innocent. They're not devotees, but they're innocent. And some they're actually demonic. They're ignorant, demonic. They're not innocent. They don't like Krishna. So he says, don't waste your time. If they're not interested in Krishna, don't waste your time. There are too many people who are innocent, who would like answers, who are ready to hear something about Krishna. He says, don't waste your time with someone who thinks they already know everything. Don't waste your time with them. So to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name, it's kind of like, don't waste your time. You're wasting time. Don't try to instruct them. But then there's something else to that too. An advanced devotee, someone who is actually on the spiritual platform, they may be able to deal with the demonic or the faithless person in their service to Krishna. But in general, the best thing, especially if we're just starting out, is don't try to instruct a faithless person. Just let them alone, leave them alone. Don't go into any great details about Hare Krishna. Because you're just trying to get a taste for chanting, and they definitely don't have a taste and probably don't even want a taste because they're so absorbed in other material things that whatever little taste you might be cultivating, it could destroy your own. You're cultivating a taste for Krishna. You could trample, like an elephant in a garden. It could trample your own little devotional creeper that's just starting to grow. So don't instruct a faithless person. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. You might lose your own little bit of faith that you're just starting to cultivate. Hare Krishna. And number 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. So these are offenses, and but that's, you say, get a taste first, and then in order not to lose the taste, you have to start dealing with certain conditionings, and then they go. The path opens up. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. It's also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna. Prema. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Probably the granddaddy of them all, these 10 offenses, is the very first one. That's why it's the first one. To blaspheme devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. That's like the granddaddy. And then, yeah, so. Hare Krishna. Let's see. Look at the Bhagavatam. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And this is Canto 8, Chapter 24, Matsya, the Lord's fish incarnation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Maha Mantra. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th Canto, Chapter 24, translated with commentaries, translated into English, which was a direct instruction from Bhaktisiddhanta in line of disciplic succession to his disciple A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. If you ever get money, print books, especially in English. Ta-da! Hare Krishna. Matsya is the fish incarnation, and he appeared to deliver King Satyavrata, pious king. Satyavrata was performing austerities, drinking only water, and one day, to please the Lord, one day when he scooped his hands up, there was a little fish in it. The little fish said, "Please protect me." King Satyavrata, having that propensity to give protection to living entities, he was the king, put him in a little jug. The fish got too big. The fish said, "There's not enough water in here. I need more water." Put him in a big well. The fish grew like to almost 5 feet long in a moment. "Not enough water in here. Please give me a place to live." Took the fish out, put him in a lake. Grew too big for the lake. I don't know how he got the fish out of the lake, but he got him out of the lake. Put him in the ocean. And then the fish said, "There's not enough water in the ocean for me." And then King Satyavrata, "Who am I dealing with here? What's going on? What's going on here? Who are you?" This is very bewildering.